Multiverses. In our mathematical universe, Max Tegmark makes the bold assertion that not only do we live in a multiverse, but many different kinds, and that base reality is mathematics. These are two metaphysical claims. Max describes 4 levels of the multiverse. The first is distinguished by being the universe of regular space we can observe, and the part of space beyond which we can observe, but nonetheless know to exist because the universe is expanding, and so there are parts of space so far away, light from stars there has not had time to reach us. So Max calls this observable and unobservable distinction a multiverse. Other cosmologists just call this regular space. So it is a part of regular cosmology, normal science. It can be tested with actual observations of physical things like the so-called Hubble redshift of distant galaxies. The second level of multiverse is postulated as a solution to the fine-tuning problem. The fine-tuning problem asks why the constants of nature, things like the charge on an electron, strength of gravity, mass of the quarks, and so on, have the values they do, because were any of them just slightly different, the universe we occupy would not be so friendly for life. It looks like a put-up job, as if someone has set things up, fiddled with the numbers. Another purported solution to this is therefore, God did it. Which God and where they are is another matter. The level 2 multiverse just asserts all possible values for the constants of nature exist in other universes, so fine-tuning is solved by saying we should not be surprised we occupy one of the very small number of universes where conditions are just right. There is no way known of experimentally testing this claim. This is why it does not now count as science. We cannot rule out a rival like God did it. We need a better explanation for fine-tuning. Non-science like this is not pointless. Mathematics is non-science and crucially important, as is morality and metaphysics. It's no insult to be called non-science, unlike pseudoscience. The third level of multiverse is the Everettian quantum multiverse. This multiverse is likewise just regular science. When we perform an experiment firing single particles, like electrons, at a twin slit setup, according to a single universe model we should have replicability. Children learn this in school. The measure of a reliable experiment is whether the results are very close to being the same each time you perform the experiment, replicability. But when single electrons are fired at a suitable twin slit arrangement, they do not always take the same path. Poor replicability. According to a single universe model, they should. Instead, they follow any of the paths deemed possible by the equations of quantum theory, which say all possible paths are taken each time an electron is fired, but we can only ever observe one. We occupy only one universe, and it is impossible to know which universe you'll be in ahead of time, which path your electron will take. Only by doing the experiment do you find out. All of them exist, but sometimes you're in the universe that takes this path, then that path, then some other path. We do the experiment, and that's just what we see. Repeat the experiment enough, and a subset of all possible paths are taken, revealing the interference pattern. It is the only known explanation of that experiment and others like it that this multiverse exists. Some assert that consciousness is involved instead, that an observer collapses the wave function, they say. To rule this out, David Deutsch devised an ingenious experimental test whereby a future artificial general intelligence would be able to have a sense organ that did an interference experiment. It could set up a system with 2 possible quantum states, which would then interfere while being observed by the AGI. While the experiment was going on, the AGI would report it only ever observes one of the 2 states. Not the 2 of them, but if the interference happens, we'd know there must have been 2 of those AGI briefly. Each reporting they observe only one state. If the interference does not happen, we would rule out the multiverse explanation because observation would have collapsed the wave function. Hence, the Everettian multiverse is testable. See David's explanation of this in Paul Davies' book, The Ghost in the Atom, or for more on testability, see On the Logic of Experimental Tests, particularly of Everettian quantum theory. That's a paper by David Deutsch, or my multiverse series and fictional story about all of this in part 4 of my discussion of chapter 11 of The Beginning of Infinity, Talkcast episode 27 or 28, depending upon where you get it from. The fourth and final level of multiverse under Max's scheme is what he describes as all mathematically conceivable structures. So if it is mathematically possible, then it exists on his account. This is supposed to be a final foundation for all knowledge, and there can be nothing deeper. This is likewise a metaphysical and not a scientific claim, as it cannot be tested. His book is subtitled, My Quest for the Ultimate Nature of Reality. Why people are not satisfied with simply knowing the nature of reality, always imperfectly and always open to improvement, I don't know. No, they want progress to stop. They want the final answer, the ultimate final nature of reality. But besides, why is what mathematicians can conceive here, with their brains operating according to laws of physics in our universe, able to constrain what is conceivable by alien intelligence occupying universes with different laws elsewhere? It sounds a little like the mathematician's misconception, doesn't it? Yes. If one is going to endorse such a multiverse, to really believe in it, then one may as well believe in David Lewis's all logically possible worlds. Of course, what we think is logically possible, and what aliens who can prove different things in their universes, operating according to different laws of physics, think is possible, is another matter. But we are in the realm now of pure abstract speculation, metaphysics, not science. And while it can be fun to speculate, it's more fun to know what you're doing, and where the dividing line is between good explanations and easy-to-vary accounts, and between testable claims and non-science. The multiverse is a scientific theory, but only if you are precise about which version of it you are talking about. Not all multiverses are equal in epistemology.